And we're going to talk about the steady opposition that we're starting to see a little bit from the deep state. The deep state's kind of showing their fangs now, and we're starting to see globalist opposition to Trump. And just like we talked about before, of course, Trump throws a monkey wrench into their plans, and so we should expect opposition going forward, and that's what we're starting to see, not only internationally, but here in the United States. So what we need to understand as a basis of what's going on in the world is the mystery of lawlessness. The mystery of lawlessness, as we see in 2 Thessalonians 2:7, is already at work. It's already working through society, through everywhere, all over the planet. And understand in the mystery of lawlessness, which is trying eventually to garner the world to eventually produce the Antichrist, all that matters with lawlessness is power. It's gaining power and achieving that and keeping it and holding on to it. That's all it's about. It's not about morality. So when you're looking at people that are in opposition to Trump and whatever it is, it's all about them and about their power. When you see Elon Musk going after all the wasteful spending of U.S. aid and all the, the Pentagon and all these other things, and he's cutting and slashing all this fraud and wasteful spending, why are they getting so mad? You would think most people would be happy that, hey, we're going to save some money. Hooray. Well, the problem is they're losing power when you do that. These NGOs, that all this money that's going to them, they're losing power. A lot of these NGOs are front groups that are like George Soros and all kinds of weird globalist organizations and stuff that are getting money. And so they're losing power, and Trump is getting in the way of that, and Elon Musk is getting in the way of that. So what you are now starting to see is the development of a Romans 1 mind on display. And just like we talked about with Pharaoh, of God just allowing it to, he just gives them over to it, you're starting to see this. I want to read this real quick, just so you can see when God gives people over, what starts happening to them. So the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who suppress the truth and righteousness. Okay, that's the key phrase. Anybody that suppresses truth. So that means that you and I are truth tellers. We go out there and we try to tell the truth. Here's what's going on. Here's the facts. Here's the evidence. I don't care about your feelings. This is what's going on. But individuals that don't like the truth, they suppress it. They hold it down. They censor it. They give lies, whatever. Here's what happens to individuals that do this. Because what may be known of God is manifest in them, because they have a conscience in them that of a moral law of God in them. He'll talk about this in Romans chapter 2. For God has shown it to them. For since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his internal power and God, so that they are without excuse. So what's the idea? Everybody knows there's a God. Okay, that's it. That's what Paul is saying. They internally know it. They internally know the moral law. The moral code is on their hearts. This is Romans chapter 2. Okay. Because although they knew God, everybody knows God, they did not glorify him as God, nor were thankful, but became futile in their thinking or in their thoughts. And their foolish hearts were darkened. So that's what ends up happening. You deny God, you get foolish, and you start, your hearts become darkened. Okay, sinful. Professing to be wise, I'm smart, but they're not. Okay, they become fools and change the glory of the incorruptible God into an image made like corruptible man, birds and four-footed animals, creeping things. So they start worshiping the creation, right? Therefore, God gave them up to uncleanness in the lust of their hearts to dishonor their bodies among themselves, who exchanged the truth of God for a lie, and that worship and serve the creature rather than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. So the idea is they, in exchange of worshiping the Creator, then start worshiping the created things. And the created things could be Satan, Lucifer, and there's a lot of people that are worshiping Satan, no doubt about that. Worshiping power, worshiping money, worshiping those prestige, all those kinds of things. That's what we're talking about. Those are created things, right? For this reason, God gave them up to their vile passions. So he gives them over to it. You want to worship creation? I'll give you over to it. For their women exchange the natural use for what is against nature. That's lesbianism. Likewise, also men leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust for one another. Men with men committing what is shameful, receiving themselves the penalty of the error, which was their due. Homosexuality. Okay? Even as they did not like to retain the knowledge, retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a debased mind to do the things that are not fitting. A debased mind. That things that are off limits are now on limits. Things that you and I would blush at and be shameful of, they're not shameful of, okay? That's the idea. Now, here's the list. Here's the list. Being filled with all unrighteousness, sexual immorality, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, evil-mindedness. They are whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, violent, proud. I want you to capitalize on that word violent. I'm going to show you that tonight. Proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, undiscerning, untrustworthy, unloving, unforgiving, unmerciful, who, knowing the righteous judgment of God, that those who practice such things are deserving of death, not only do the same, but also approve of those who practice them. They encourage it. So that's a long list of what happens when you get a debased mind. Well, it's on full display now, okay? So what we're starting to see now in this opposition to Trump, but really, you got to take Trump out of the equation. It's not Trump, it's what he stands for. It's what you stand for. You stand for truth. You stand for everything that is right, everything that is truthful, the God of the Bible, all that. So they're anti-God. They're for globalism, right? A centralized authority. It's getting a little cold in here, guys. Can we turn up the thing? They're for destroying fossil fuels. They're for a digital currency. They're for LGBT agenda, transgenderism, and they're for bankrupting the West. We know that already. Okay. But here's what I want to focus in on. They're also fighting for illegal immigration. Why are they fighting for MS-13 in Trinidad? Why are they doing that? Why are they fighting for slavery? Because really, in essence, that's what illegal immigration actually is. It's slavery. So, a couple things. The disturbing similarities that the Dems on slavery and the Dems on illegal alien labor have in common. So this is a good article on PJ Media. In the early 19th century, Democrats said slavery was absolutely necessary to the Southern American economy, and now Democrats are arguing that illegal alien labor is necessary to the American economy. One of the main talking points of the left is that Americans would not be willing to do these jobs that illegal aliens take. Of course, Americans always did these blue-collar jobs before illegal aliens started taking all of them. And it is also true that U.S.-born men's unemployment went up significantly under Biden, even as all the new jobs went to migrants. The fact remains that some farmers, like many other employers, simply do not want to hire Americans because it costs more. They aim specifically to hire illegals. J.D. Vance has even highlighted the phenomenon of U.S. workers being fired and replaced with illegals. Okay? So we do have a problem in some of our corporations. And look, I come from a farming community. I know how the farmers do. There's some farmers that do it right, and there's some farmers that do it wrong. So I come from Delano. I know what some of them did. Many of the farmers would hire illegal aliens because they don't have to pay a minimum wage. They would pay a contractor, and the contractor has a bunch of illegal aliens. And so the farmer gets away without paying insurance. The farmer gets away without paying all kinds of medical benefits, all the health insurance, and all that other stuff, because he will just simply hire a contract crew, and the contract crew is full of illegal aliens, and he gets away scot-free without paying anything except the contractor. That's how it works. Now, there's other farmers that do it the right way. They provide insurance for their employees, they provide health benefits, they provide retirement, they do the whole 9 yards, and they're great. But I do know there's a bunch of farmers that are doing that, and they're undermining all of us. And I do know there's other people in the work industry that hire illegal aliens, and they undercut everybody. My dad was a house painter. He did it right. He paid his insurance, he had his license and all that, but he would get undermined by illegal aliens who'd had no license whatsoever and would undercut the work that they would do by hundreds and hundreds of dollars, by people trying to do it right, paying their taxes, doing their license, and we undercut that. So there is a part of the corporations that were wanting illegal immigration, basically because they want slaves. Now, when you see companies go to China, why do you think they go to China? Slave labor, okay? So I want you to keep in your mind that Nike, Apple, Adidas, all these corporations that have went to China, I get it. They don't want to pay union wages. I get that. But then two wrongs don't make a right. So you go to China and you basically have slaves making your products, and you get a higher margin of profit because of that. So how are you any different than a slave worker, a slave driver? You're not. You're really not. So what you have to understand about illegal immigration or having your factories in Mexico, having your factories in China or wherever they're at, it's all about slave labor, okay? Now, don't get me wrong, not all of the corporations are like that, but many of them are. And J.D. Vance has even pointed this out. Anyway, back in 2022, Nancy Pelosi said illegal aliens were necessary to pick the crops. Jerry Nadler argued last year that we need many illegal immigrants to pick vegetables. They are representative of the elitist Democratic mindset, okay? Senators Dick Durbin, Peter Welch, and Adam Schiff made similar statements in recent weeks while whining about Trump's illegal alien deportation. Schiff claimed Americans don't want to do that work. It's too backbreaking. It seems pretty clear that Democrats really do look down on the illegal aliens they import, seeing them as inferior, and that the reason they want more and more of these illegals is for their own personal benefit. Just as when Democrats were willing to start a bloody civil war to protect slavery, now they don't care how many Americans are robbed, raped, killed, or fired thanks to illegal aliens. So if you look, you have CBS News with the same mantra. They all have the same memo, okay? These U.S. industries can't work without illegal immigrants. That's not true, but that's the mantra. Here's Harvard Business Review. Trump's trade and deportation plans could be disastrous for U.S. food supply. No, it's not. Here's what they say. United States depends on migrants, legal and undocumented, to grow and harvest much of its fresh produce. Deportations and the ensuing labor shortage would dramatically raise the cost of produce that requires heavy manual labor, as if Americans can't do heavy manual labor. It's all a lie. It's not true. But again, it's the same argumentation that the Democrats were making for slavery in the 1800s. So Democrats in the 1800s wanted Americans to believe that it was impossible to have a thriving economy or agriculture without slave labor. Now Democrats want us to believe that it is necessary to have illegal alien labor for prosperity. Again, they are lying. Let us reject illegal immigration as we once rejected slavery. Again, so that's one aspect of this Romans 1 mindset. Now, here's the interesting thing. Prophecy indicates that the world will go towards more slavery in the end. We're not going to have less slavery. We're actually going to have more slavery. And the book of Revelation talks about this in Revelation 17 and 18. That the whore of Babylon, or the Babylonian system, actually uses slave labor. And whether that's slave labor of migrants or illegal aliens, or maybe that's sex slavery. So you notice how the sex slavery issue with open borders and the illegals coming in is part of the issue. Also, a part of the illegal alien and the open border was the drug trafficking that comes through. And they don't want to shut that down. They don't want to shut down Mexico because the cartels run Mexico and bring in, I don't know what, I can't remember, $260 billion of money into Mexico, and that's the only way Mexico continues to thrive or not thrive, I should say, but have any money coming in because of the cartels. And they don't want to shut Mexico down because of that. So this was part of the whole thing. The sex trade, the drugs, all this other junk, okay? So this is very nefarious, but this is going on all over the planet. Slavery is all over the planet. Sex trafficking is all over the planet. Drugs are all over the planet. Well, guess what? Those are all predicted in Scripture. So drugs are pharmakia, or sorcery in Scripture. That's what's happening. And so it's predicted in the book of Revelation that this is going to be a global problem of pharmakia, or sorcery, along with slavery, including sex slavery. So they don't want this to end. They don't want this to end. So again, what is Trump doing? He's trying to stop it. But they don't want this to stop. They don't want the cartels to stop. They don't want the sex trade to stop. They don't want slavery to stop. So what do we got to do? They got to resort to violence. Okay? So what you're starting to see is what I told you in Romans 1, they will resort to violence. Okay? So now the Democrats are wanting to see their electoral officials stop being too nice. They said, this is quote unquote, nice and civility doesn't work. Are you prepared for violence? They said. Okay? So now what they're doing is swatting. So a lot of these guys who drive Teslas have been doxxed. A lot of these conservative talk show guys, they have their own podcasts and stuff. They've been doxxed. And then what they do is they swat them. And so they'll call a fake problem at their house, like, hey, someone's dead, someone has a knife, they're killing me right now, send the sheriff, send the FBI, and then all of a sudden they get swatted. So this is a constant problem. And Kash Patel is trying to get this stopped, but it keeps happening. So watch this montage of all the swatting that now the left is doing.
Swatting against conservatives. We told you yesterday about Texas radio host Joe Pags being swatted.
This morning, a growing number of conservative influencers are getting targeted by swatters.
They were so urgent in getting the police to break down my door and possibly kill me in my doorway. They told them, I heard this on the scanner traffic, that he's bleeding out upstairs. Please hurry and get inside.
When I walked up to the door, he was pointing a gun at me,
We did just get swatted. The officers said they received a phone call that somebody murdered somebody in the house and was planning a suicide by cop.
Conservative podcaster Nick Sorter also posted, both my dad and my sister were swatted tonight. A dozen cops attempting to kick my dad's door in at gunpoint.
We received a phone call here.
Yes, sir.
Just a few hours ago, InfoWars reporter and anchor Owen Schroyer was swatted at his home.
And then most recently, Juanita Broderick posted, well, I just got swatted. About 10 police and SWAT teams showed up. They said the caller said there were 2 masked men and people inside that had been shot.
So that's starting to happen. So again, Kash Patel's trying to get onto this, but this is how they're doing it. And what are the hopes of getting someone swatted? Someone's going to get killed in the process. So that's the idea, that somebody's going to do something wrong and someone's going to get shot and killed. That's the idea. Again, so violence, right? So what are they fighting for? They're again, we talked about Tesla. They're shooting up Teslas, dealerships, mobilizing people, terrorism, all that kind of stuff. So with the Tesla takedown movement, there's a growing backlash against Elon Musk, as you know, because of what he's doing. He's implementing Doge, obviously. And they're now urging protesters to sell their Tesla vehicles, dump their stock, and join picket lines in front of Tesla locations worldwide. The movement's website has declared Saturday, March 29th as a global day of action. I don't know if anything came out of that, but dozens of protesters across the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, and Netherlands, or more. Okay, so my question is this. What does Germany, the Netherlands, and the United Kingdom, and France care about Doge? That's our issue, not theirs. You see what I'm saying? What do they care if we're cutting our bureaucracies? So I want you to see something. There's something broader happening. Okay? Why are the French protesting Elon Musk? Why are the United Kingdom? Why is German? They care that we're getting rid of DEI? They care that we're cutting NGOs in the United States? What do they care? Oh, wait a second. Because there's a broader global opposition to what Elon's doing. There's a broader opposition to what Trump is doing. That's why you have other countries protesting Elon Musk. That's why. So, European sales plummet 49%. What do they care? What do they care? So, backlash due to Musk's affiliation with Trump administration in the U.S., his endorsement of Germany's conservative alternative Germany party in recent national election, Musk giving serious thought to financial backing of Farage's Reform UK party. So, they're not liking his conservatism, obviously, either. And then here at home, again, you got this insinuation for violence. Okay, so Jimmy Kimmel justifies Tesla terrorism, spreads false Nazi claims. So here's this guy's a nut job. I can't believe anyone watches this guy.
Vandalizing Tesla vehicles, new Tesla vehicles. Please don't vandalize. Don't ever vandalize Tesla vehicles. And so, even been on incidents of arson. Someone lit a bunch of Teslas on fire. And here's the thing, I get that people are upset. Burning a car might not be great for the environment. I don't think that's what they had in mind when they invented the electric car. In Las Vegas yesterday, someone threw a Molotov cocktail at a Tesla service center. At least 5 Teslas blew up, 1 from the Molotov and 4 because that's just what Teslas do sometimes. And no one should be setting fires. You could kill somebody, you could hurt somebody. Elon Musk might not care about other people, but decent Americans should. The world's richest man, has been trying to drum up sympathy for himself lately. His sales are down, his stock is down. Last night he was somber as he went through this with Sean Hannity.
Tesla is a peaceful company. We've never done anything awful. I've never done anything awful. I've only done productive things. So I think we just have a deranged... there's some kind of mental illness thing going on here, because this doesn't make any sense.
Well, let me see if I can explain it for you. When you pull out a chainsaw to celebrate firing thousands of people, they get mad. It's just, my God, I mean, this poor guy. You do 1, maybe 2 Nazi salutes, everybody gets all bent out of shape. Donald Trump today had...
So, he didn't do any Nazi salutes. He's insinuating that it's okay to do violence. So this guy, I don't know. He needs to be investigated, but I don't know if they will. But these are the kinds of people that incite people. And that crowd sitting there clapping, and they don't understand. Or maybe they do understand what he's saying. I don't know. They're just lemmings, right? So again, why are people in Germany and Ireland suddenly mobilizing against Trump? Or against Elon Musk? Who's behind the protests? Okay? This is a question everyone needs to understand. Ordinary citizens do not spontaneously organize coordinated protests across multiple continents in response to U.S. federal staffing decisions. Okay? These demonstrations require financial backing, media support, strategic messaging. So who benefits from damaging Tesla's brand or silencing Musk? The manufactured outrage against Musk is not about policy, it's about power. And if we fail to recognize that, we risk allowing those who seek control to redefine reality itself. So you have to see beyond what's happening. There's something globally going on. And again, I think they're going to try to stop it. I think they're going to do something. So here's all these wackadoos talking nonsense. Okay, this is John Cusack. He's crazy.
He said, Musk is kind of this arch villain of late stage capitalism, and he seems like this clown and this buffoon. But like Alex said, this is a man who made a Sieg Heil Nazi salute, not only in public, but at a presidential victory party. It's good to remember that these are unprecedented times of mass criminality going on in the United States right now. And that, like Trump, Musk is a pathological liar. He's a criminal. He's a sociopath and a ghoul. And I mean those terms very precisely, because who else would use his own child as a sympathy prop while literally taking starving aid away from people all over the world? He's literally killing people. People are going to die because of this madness.
Starving people. He's taking food right out. Isn't that the same thing they said about Israel? They're starving the Palestinians. There's no one starving. John Cusack. They're psychopathic, sociopathic. You called him Hitler, right? Yeah, you did the Sieg Heil. But here's the thing: you got a guy running his mouth like that. The problem is, too many people believe that. They don't have enough discernment to realize this guy's out of his mind. That he himself is a psychopath. So when you drum up this, I wouldn't be shocked if people start getting. Well, if we got Hitler on our hands, I guess we need to take Hitler out. That's how people start thinking. Yeah, then you got her. She said, if ordinary people are frightened, it's because the New York Times and other media outlets have been hysterically exaggerating what Donald Trump is doing. Well, no, she didn't say that, but they are. This is what the article said. No court has declared what he's doing unconstitutional, by the way. Trump has said that if the court tells him so, he will not defy federal court. He has done nothing illegal, but scaring people is all the Democrats and the media have to try and fight Donald Trump is doing. That's what they're doing, is to drum it up. So here is Jayapal saying we got to take down potential Trump dictatorship, and they're going to do resistant labs. So listen to this.
Thank you for having me, Rachel.
Help me understand this idea of the resistance lab and what you're talking about in practical terms at these events.
Yeah, I mean, what we decided is that we really need to help Americans understand what happens when democracies fall, when dictators take over. We've been pretty complacent in America. We haven't had to really deal with this in any real way. And now I think people need to understand what are the lessons from other countries, and working with experts who have studied democratic backsliding in countries around the world and the resistance movements that emerged to take on that democratic backsliding. We've developed a curriculum where we help people understand how do you go after the pillars of support, not necessarily the person at the top, but the pillars of support that allow that person to continue to have power, and how do you shift allies from being sort of passive opponents to being active supporters of taking down a dictatorship. And so it's been very practical, it's been very hands-on, but also preparing them for the moments that will come of coordinated resistance, whether it's distributed action or mass action, that people need to be ready for. And we're increasing the understanding, which also increases the ability for people to think about taking more risk, perhaps, than they might have otherwise, because that level of risk tolerance goes up based on how severe people think things are. So we're really readying us for those big moments that we hope don't come, but certainly look like that is the direction that we're headed.
I feel like this is a really important category.
It sounds to me that she was indicating something. That these moments we hope don't come, but they're going to come, and we need to go after the pillars that support Donald Trump. So who are the pillars that support Donald Trump? Oh, that's right. That's me. That's you. Oh. So how are they going to come after us? You going to go after our cars too? What do you mean? You're going to SWAT us? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Oh, well, we're having meetings now, and we're trying to figure that out. Brandon, don't you know? That's what she just said. She just said we're having meetings to figure out our resistance. And she said it's not going to be passive and just us sitting back, and we're going to do active stuff. What do you mean? We're going to mobilize. Okay. Yeah. So you guys are preparing for a cold civil war, from what I understand. Is that what you're doing? Here's Chuck Schumer.
We are mobilizing in New York. We have people going to the Republican districts and going after these Republicans who are voting for this and forcing them to either change their vote or face the consequences. This is a long, relentless fight that we fight every day, and I am confident that we will bring Trump's popularity, numbers, and strength down if we keep at it and keep at it and keep at it.
How are they going to do that? How does he expect to? This guy's so out of touch with reality, but what is he talking about? We're going to force them to do that. I'm just telling you. When evil talks, listen to what they say. The new AOC, Jasmine Crockett, not to be mixed up with Davy Crockett.
Politicians, so I'll make sure that I keep it short, but I am truly here for very selfish reasons. Starting with on March 29th, it's my birthday, and all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. Yes, listen, I have learned as I serve on the Doge Oversight Committee that there is only one language that the people that are in charge understand right now. And that language is money. And so I've been so proud to see us organize behind a cause.
So we're going to take Elon Musk down, and what they know is money, because what I understand Elon's doing, and it's all, you can go on the, I think the Doge Report website and see all the money he's cutting. Well, what are you talking about, Jasmine? Or maybe this will bring some clarification to things, Jasmine.
I think that you punch. I think you punch. I think you're okay with you okay with punching. Oh. You know, I think, and I love Colin, and I think towards the end he started to punch a little harder. But like, it's Ted Cruz. I mean, like, this dude has to be knocked over the head, like, hard, right? Like, there is no niceties with him, like, at all. Like, you go clean off on him, right?
Clean off on Ted Cruz. Knock him in the head. Oh, and she's going to say, well, you misinterpreted what I said. Yeah, maybe, but the other guy that's a crazy psychopath that follows you will probably go try to attempt that, because Ted Cruz was saying they protested from 7 to 8 o'clock every day in front of his house. Now, why would they protest every day from 7 to 8 o'clock at his house? And then they left at 8. What does that indicate? That a crowd comes and protests from 7 to 8 and leaves immediately at 8. They're hired. That's what it means. It doesn't mean they're there grassroots and we're just going to protest Ted Cruz. They're bought and paid for. They show up at 7 and they leave at 8 because they're only paid for 1 hour to protest against Ted Cruz. She says to go hit him in the head. Here's more of her rhetoric.
First of all, thank you for making the back of my head famous. But second of all, if we could do a sequel, if you could tell Donald Trump anything tonight, what would you tell him?
I would tell him to grow a spine and stop being Putin's hoe.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the level of civility when you have a depraved mind. This is the things you say. Apparently, this is the new decor of how you speak as a congresswoman. Here's more of her going after the disabled governor of Texas.
Because we in these hot Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot mess, honey. So yes.
So we're making fun of handicapped people. That's okay now. So he can't walk. We're calling him Governor Hot Wheels because he's handicapped. I didn't know you could do that. But when you're on the evil side, Romans 1, you can make fun of handicapped people. You see what's going on here? Here's Bondi referring to her and what they're planning to do.
You know, people don't learn. She's using her public persona, her public platform to increase her followers, to increase her significance, and she is threatening lives, safety. You know, when she did this at Tesla, Sean, people's lives are in danger. This is America. We're in a free country. And she's yet encouraging this violence in our country. Think of all the lives that could have been jeopardized in Texas just today by her words and what she's done. But she didn't stop with that. She continued on with Senator Cruz. She has to apologize immediately and denounce the violence.
What do you make of people?
I doubt it. Okay, so this is the depraved mind that they're, you know, trying to incite violence, get people to do stuff. But this is who their champion is. This is what they do in the halls of Congress.
Oh no! It's a cultural divide. I'm gonna get it on the floor. You really about to do it? 40 acres in the mule. This is bigger than the music. You really about to do it? Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence. They get on it like that. Hey, I'm tripping, I'm sliding, I'm riding through the back like bro. Must have on a beat, bro, deep boat, any rap, he a freak throw, man down, call like Amber Lambs, tell them breathe, let them boys to the cross, they walk around like Jesus. What's up with these?
What is that? What is that? Oh my gosh. What's going on with them? This is again more. I want you to see all of it.
This is not what we should be doing. I don't even know why we fighting with Greenland. Why we fighting with Greenland? We fighting with Canada. We fighting with Mexico. Yet we in love with Putin. What is happening? Like, this is not America. This is a terrible nightmare. Somebody slap me and wake me up because I'm ready to get on with it.
Absolutely. First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. You know, no one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress. It's just not what my plan was. But what I've always decided is that I would step up when there was a need.
Listen, he up there, he's hearing all kinds of nonsense, and let me just be real, and we ain't gonna sit for that shit. We wouldn't, you know.
But when she called me and said, I think it's time for me to retire, and you're the one that I believe should take my seat, I really was kind of caught off guard. I didn't anticipate that. If anyone knows anything about the Congresswoman, they know.
We showed up, and if he had some sense, then maybe we would have been about that life. But y'all know he ain't got no sense. So please give some love. This took a little bit of coordinating to do, for sure. We got some cool shirts.
You know, the congressional seat is over 4 times as large as my House seat. And I was just starting to get into the rhythm of doing constituent services and things like that.
We got Madam Williams, who just happens to have the honorary seat. It's not even honorary because she's holding it down, y'all. But the legend himself, John Lewis, that is the seat in which she currently serves. So she honored his legacy. This is the message that she wanted to send today.
So how does she go from the one sitting there in the red jacket to gangster? Again, I need you to dig deeper behind this to understand that you need a front person to say off-the-wall stuff, to incite stuff. And you need what's called a useful idiot. Communists use useful idiots to do their dirty work. Here's Megyn Kelly commenting on this.
This woman, I've had about enough of her. She wants to be like a member of the squad. She thinks of herself like an AOC. She talks like, you know, she's from the hood. Meanwhile, she grew up in a nice family. She didn't talk like this 3 years ago. 3 years ago, she sounded like you and I sound in this conversation. Like, I'm really excited to be going to Congress. I can't wait to get started on my new job. And now she's like, we need to smack him in the head. Like, what? What do you, we have videotape. Why are you talking like that? No one believes this bull. And now she's graduated to acting like a thug. So congratulations. Your term in the U.S. Congress is going really well, swimmingly.
Todd Starnes, Jasmine Crockett wants you to think she's from the hood, that she grew up on the streets. The exact opposite is true. She attended an exclusive day school. Tuition was nearly $35,000 per year. She also attended Rose College, a private school where tuition was nearly $55,000 per year. She's cosplaying a gangsta. Here's her latest.
With Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York, some of your fellow House Democrats say, and not just progressives, by the way, we've heard that moderates have said this too, that they're ready to support her to challenge Chuck Schumer in a Democratic primary. Would you get behind that?
That's 4 years from now. If you were asking me at least in 2 years, then I would have an absolute answer. But I can tell you that there are a lot of people that are watching his leadership in this moment. This is the moment. We don't even know what elections will look like in 4 years, if we will have elections.
Did you hear that slip? We don't know if we're going to have elections in 4 years. Oh, okay. I just wanted to play that. So, here's an interesting thing about her, and you're like, why are you paying attention to this crazy girl? Because I believe someone's behind her, and I believe there's something behind a lot of people like Chuck Schumer and AOC, and you just don't come out of nowhere. You get put on stage, and then you go from a nice girl to gangsta girl, and all of a sudden you're saying things like hit Ted Cruz over the head, and you're saying, inciting type of violent type of rhetoric, because that means that somebody's behind you. What's that symbol? Who's that? That's Soros' son. Oh. What's that symbol? 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 Maybe I'm seeing something. Maybe I'm seeing something. I'm not. Brandon, it can't be something like that. Why is she flashing the Illuminati sign? Why is she flashing that? Why is she hanging out with Soros? Why is Beyonce flashing the Illuminati? Because she's all into it. Why are they Jay-Z and what's the other guy's name? Jay-Z and who else? Pete. Is that P. Diddy? No. Kanye West. Kanye West. Supposedly was a Christian, right? That's Kanye West, right? No, that's Jay-Z? I don't know. I follow these guys. But what's the deal, man? That's Rihanna, right? Yeah, okay. And that's the Luciferian all-seeing eye of Freemasons. That's the all-seeing eye of the Illuminati. That's on the pyramids. That's secret societies. That's Satanism. That's witchcraft. Thank you very much. And why would she flash that? Well, Brandon, that's conspiratorial. Okay. But why is all of a sudden she goes from nice girl in college to flashing Illuminati signs? I don't know. I'm crazy. Maxine Waters goes after Melania's legal status.
If he wants to start looking so closely to find those who were born here and their parents were undocumented, maybe he ought to first look at Melania. We don't know whether or not her parents were documented. And maybe we'd better just take a look.
So we're calling Elon Musk a South African. Melania needs to go back. Well, I mean, what's all this about? I thought we couldn't go there. Because if we said illegal aliens, we couldn't say that. But you can say Melania needs to go back and Elon Musk is just a South African Nepo baby. And then we have this going on at the schools.
Hi, I'm Kaylee Weichbrot. I'm a mom of 2 in Fairfax County. This is my oldest. And my husband and I have a difficult decision to make this fall as he is approaching preschool age, and we are faced with the decision of whether or not we are going to put our child in public school system where Fairfax County has decided to move forward with instituting gender studies in elementary school. Despite having done a study group, a focus group in the community to see if parents even wanted this. And when parents said no, the board voted 16-0 and said we're moving forward anyways. This shows clearly that they see parents not as partners, but as an obstacle for their agenda. And I have a really hard time looking at him and going, here, I'm just going to give you over to people who do not want to partner with me in how you're going to be raised. School and education is a huge part of a child's life. And early childhood is supposed to be filled with exploration and creativity and fun, not debating issues that are for adults to handle. These kinds of topics should be introduced sensitively and by parents who are raising their children with their values, not with an ideology passed down from the top.
So you have that going on. Amen to that. So you have that going, and so that goes back to getting rid of the Department of Education, Trump telling California and all the other states you're going to lose federal funding if you continue to push DEI and the transgender wokeism stuff. Right? That's what's at stake here, but they don't want to lose that. Okay? So you're going to get a lot of opposition. And then at the same time, you have judicial tyranny resisting Trump through lawfare. Okay? So you have politicians, you have states, and you have judges holding up the entire system of getting rid of MS-13 and Venezuela gangs or whoever. And this is exactly what the deep state's all about. So you're seeing this. Miller, I forget Miller's first name. Stephen Miller, there it is, Stephen Miller. This guy's brilliant. And CNN tries to trap him on this judicial stuff, this judicial tyranny we're seeing. But I want you to hear him make the case of why Trump has the right to export illegal immigration based on the 17 whatever act. I can't remember the name of it. But it is brilliant. But this is what Trump is up against. He's up against lawfare. They're trying to stop him at every point because of why? It's globalism. Like I told you, they want slavery. They want the drugs. They want MS-13 in here. They want it. And he's trying to stop it. So listen to Stephen. It's fairly long. It's about 8 minutes or so. But it's one of the best explanations of why Trump has the right to do what he's doing, okay? And then we'll finish after that, okay?
You called the judge's order just earlier today, quote, patently unlawful, end quote, and said that it was an assault on democracy itself. Does that mean that the administration is ignoring this order, and might you ignore future court orders that meet the criteria you laid out?
The President of the United States and his administration reserve all rights under the Constitution to conduct national security operations in defense of the United States. The Alien Enemies Act, which was passed into law by the founding generation of this country, men like John Adams, was written explicitly to give the President the authority to repel an alien invasion of the United States. That is not something that a district court judge has any authority whatsoever to interfere with, to enjoin, to restrict, or to restrain any way. You can read the law yourself. There's not one clause in that law that makes it subject to judicial review, let alone district court review.
So, Stephen, when you say that this person has no authority at all, this is how our system works. It starts with these judges and then continues up. At what point does it become, in your view, legal for the justice system to be looking at this and making a judgment? And I fail to see how there's any other way but to start with where we're starting here before you get to eventually the Supreme Court.
Well, so first of all, there's a term in law, justiciable. This is not justiciable. In other words, this is not subject to judicial remedy. When the president is exercising his Article 2 powers to defend the country against an invasion or to repel a foreign terrorist that is unlawfully in the country, he's exercising his core Article 2 powers as commander-in-chief.
Is Venezuela invading the U.S.?
This is a very important point. This is a Title 50 authority. It's a commander-in-chief authority. So just to ask you a simple question, you talk about how the system works. Does a district court judge have the right to direct or enjoin troop movements overseas? Yes or no?
Well, Stephen, my question, if you could answer my question first.
In other words,
is Venezuela invading our country in a way that would apply this way?
So I'll answer yours and you'll answer mine. Under the terms of the statute, Tren de Aragua is an alien enemy force that has come here as detailed at length in the proclamation at the direction of the Venezuelan government. The statute says that a president has the ability to repel an invasion or predatory incursion that is directed by a foreign
state
government.
or a government, right? Are they a state or a government?
This would be, yes, it is documented. The TDA was sent by the Venezuelan government in the proclamation. And here's an even more important point. Under the Constitution, who makes that determination? A district court judge elected by no one or the commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy? The president and the president alone makes the decision of what triggers that determination.
So do you then think we are actually at war with Venezuela, the nation state of Venezuela?
You're not hearing me and you're not understanding me. Read the statute, Alien Enemies Act, 1798. It says if a predatory incursion is perpetrated by a foreign government. So it lists three qualifying actions. It could be an act of war.
It does say in the very beginning there has to be a declared war against a nation or a state. That's what it says.
No, wrong. Look up the statute. It's on my account on social media.
That's actually where we found it earlier.
Yes. It says, or a predatory incursion, or an invasion. The statute delineates three criteria for triggering the Alien Enemies Act. One is an act of war, which, by the way, an invasion is an act of war, but put that aside. One is an invasion, which this is. One is a predatory incursion, which this is. So it actually meets all three statutory criteria. But with respect to this particular statute, the proclamation is utilizing the incursion and invasion language in the statute. But this is a very important question, because no, hold on. This is a very important question. You said the way our system works is the President of the United States commands the armed forces of the country, commands the foreign policy of the country, and that's subject to district court review. That is fundamentally untrue.
I never said that, Stephen. I did not say...
That has never been true.
This was not a military operation.
A district court judge can no more enjoin the expulsion of foreign terrorists to foreign soil, that he can direct the movement of Air Force One, that he can direct the movement of an aircraft carrier, that he can direct Marco Rubio to engage in diplomacy in a country or not.
Do you think the Supreme Court has any say over this or not? Does the Supreme Court of the United States have any say over the things that you were just outlining right here?
I believe what the Supreme Court will say is what I just said, which is that the president's conduct here is not subject to judicial review.
But you are acknowledging that they do, in fact, have a say here, even though you think they may agree with you.
What we are expecting is the Supreme Court to say what has always been the case, which is when the president is using his powers as commander-in-chief, those determinations are not subject to judicial review. In other words, the president's designation of Tren de Aragua as a foreign terrorist organization and as an alien enemy are part of his inherent plenary authority. There is no way.
At what point in the system, Stephen,
how are you going to expel?
Power?
How are you going to expel illegal alien invaders from our country who are raping little girls, who are murdering little girls, if each and every deportation has to be adjudicated in a district court judge? That means you have no country, it means you have no sovereignty, it means you have no future. It is fundamentally incompatible to have a country and have individual expulsions adjudicated by a single district court judge.
I'm just trying to figure out at what point in the system do you, because what does the Trump administration believe? Because we do have separation of powers in this country. I hear what you're saying.
Yes,
you're saying the district court does not have authority.
This is the judiciary interfering
Stephen, let me finish.
The executive function.
That
is the separation of powers. That is the separation of powers.
Did you ignore the judge's order here because you thought you could?
So the judge's order and the actions taken by the Departments of Defense, Justice, and Homeland Security are not in conflict. And the Department of Justice has been clear that they are not in conflict. But
so you think that you did go along with the order that the judge put out? You do not think that the Trump administration defied this order?
As the Justice Department said, there is no conflict between the judge's order and the actions taken by the departments I just listed. But I'm making a deeper and more fundamental point.
Yeah.
The district court
if you don't have
no
to follow
ability.
It, why didn't you?
The district court has no ability to in any way restrain the president's authorities under the Alien Enemies Act or his ability to conduct the foreign affairs of the United States. Let me paint a picture for you. President Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio had engaged in intensive diplomacy to obtain a bilateral security agreement with the nation of El Salvador. If a district court judge can join that bilateral security agreement, then we do not have a democracy.
Stephen, you've made your argument.
We do not have a foreign policy.
We've heard you say this. Did you ignore, did the administration ignore the order from the district judge? It's a simple question.
I've answered it. I've answered it because the Department of Justice has made a filing in the court. But let me make another point. The judge, in this case, put the lives of every single person on those aircraft at risk. Did he know how much fuel was in those planes? Did he know the flight conditions? Did he know the weather conditions? Did he know how many crew hours? Did he know the need for crew rest? Did he know any of that? No. This judge violated the law. He violated the Constitution.
So do you
he defied
think that the
system of government that we have in this country.
Because that does seem to be what you're arguing.
These same district court judges didn't do a damn thing to stop Joe Biden from flooding this nation with millions of illegal aliens. Do these district court judges didn't issue any injunctions to save the lives of Jocelyn Hungary or Laken Riley or anyone else?
Courts. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is that what you said, there's a separation of powers. The judiciary exercises judgment and relief.
I don't speak for the White House. You are here to speak
I will
for
do.
You're here to speak for the White House. I just want you to answer that one simple question.
I am. Ready? Here we go. Under a proper reading of the Constitution, district court judges provide relief to individual plaintiffs seeking relief. District court judges do not have the authority, as a general matter, to enjoin the functioning of the executive branch. But their authority is at its lowest point when the president is exercising his powers as commander-in-chief. And I asked you a question, you never answered it. Can a judge enjoin troop movements overseas? Can a district court judge enjoin troop movements overseas?
Stephen,
yes or no?
I am not going to get into the
just say no, and then you'll know that I'm right.
This is a
just
separate
say no,
question,
and you'll know that I'm
Stephen.
right.
Okay, we're not talking about other troops overseas. I need to ask you about something else.
The president issued a proclamation delineating in detail how the Venezuelan regime sent this gang, this terrorist organization, to our shores.
Good for him. Good for him. So if you got the premise of her question, it's kind of like this: when did you stop beating your wife? That was the idea. Or did you ignore the judge's question, the judge's proclamation or whatever? It wasn't about that. He's out of his jurisdiction to even say anything. So anyway, it is what it is. But what is the point? Whose side is she on? Do you understand, lady? You're arguing for Tren de Agua. You're arguing for MS-13. That's who you're arguing for? You're on the wrong side of this one. So anyway, continue to watch this because opposition to Trump is mounting. It is starting to happen, and they're trying to delay him as much as they can of getting anything accomplished. And continue to pray for him. Can pray for all these guys that are in office right now because, boy, howdy, they are at a fever pitch wanting to stop everything they're doing. Let's pray. Father, thank you, Lord, for what we can learn not only in the Hebrew idioms, but also what's going on in the world. Help us to do our part. Help us to make the arguments we need to make as far as truth is concerned, to set records straight, to help people understand the facts and the evidence that's what's going on. We understand that the spirit of lawlessness is at work. We see it demonstrated right in front of our very face, Father. But help us to continue to be salt and light in that light that shines in the darkness. We pray now in Jesus' name, amen.